so that we're not always. So I'm probably going to do a post on this exercise because I've used it in my alchemy strength classes and had a lot of great feedback. But basically, I'm dynamically moving here as my foot is rotating me over the on the body, some internal rotation at the hip, but all control because I'm using the glutes to stabilize. I can also just situate myself far enough away from the wall and hold that into internal rotation, push the heel in the wall with a soft, which is allowing for more of a external rotation in that top hip or the right hip. Here's a view from the opposite direction just so you can see the setup. I really should probably be at more of 90 degrees of hip flexion, but this works fine, and I'm pushing my heel and my knee is soft. So I've been doing this exercise for years now, and it's still a staple. I do time and I use it with a lot of success. So what's happening here is that I am going into a bear position, into the sort of like modified down dog position. I've played around with the breathing, and there's a couple different ways you can do this. So as you go back into that modified down dog, you can take an inhale to create more posterior expansion and then shuttle the pressure down into the thorax, and then you can exhale in this bear. But you can also hold for a full breath cycle. Inhale here, posterior expansion. Exhale as you transition, then hold this. Inhale, get some chest expansion, and sort of allow the body to hold that position with an inhalation. I could probably this way more concise, but these are stories and I'm not editing much. But basically, the idea that you can manipulate the breath for your needs, but we are prioritizing the fact that we need to change the pressure in the thorax and create more space up top so that we're not always trying to orient the pelvis into a certain position or contract the pelvic floor to resist that pressure that's pushing down. We're sort of working for both ends of the spectrum. And I've done a lot of this exercise over the years. You can place your hands on your hips or I've done a lot of this exercise over the years. You can place your hands on your hips or you can place your arms out in front of you and let the thorax kind of guide the pelvis. So the idea is that I'm opening away from the femur and then closing towards it, creating more of an external and internal rotation. So you can see from this other side, my opposite hip is lifting and then that opposite hip is dropping. If you watch my knee, it's not really opening out to the side necessarily. It's just kind of lifting up and then driving back down. From a pelvic floor standpoint, I really like to emphasize the relative motions between the hip itself and then the SI joint or the pelvis and sacrum. So here we're kind of a nice rolling glide of the femur in the socket. And then we're also getting an opening and closing of the pelvic bone, which is allowing for more of an internal rotation or posterior rotation and an anterior rotation or external rotation of the pelvic bone itself. There are so many ways to load the glutes. Really, possibilities are limited, but I've done a lot of and there are so many ways to load the glutes. Really,